Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this arm balance strength building yoga class. It will be a nice, well-balanced class. We're not going to just be sort of repping out push-ups and stuff. Actually, flexibility can really come in handy when doing lots of arm balances, as in your flexibility will make them more accessible for you. So we'll get a bit of stretching in here too. A couple of yoga blocks, if you have them, could be useful. If you're new to the arm balances, they can give you like a little extra help getting into them. So if you have them, you can grab them. Otherwise, let's get started. We're going to come into child's pose. So knees a little wider than your hips, sit down towards your heels, and then walk your hands away. Allow your forehead to come to rest to the mat. Allow yourself to settle here, finding some stillness, and just starting to tune into your breathing. At first, perhaps just watching the natural pace of your breath. And then gradually allowing your breath to grow deeper and stronger as you fully inflate the lungs on the breath in. And find softness and relaxing the body on the breath out. Feel your spine grow a little longer as you inhale. Maybe those fingertips can move a little further away. And feel your hips stay nice and heavy on the exhale, sinking them towards the back of the mat. Great. Breathing in, breathing out. Great. We're then going to rise our way up into tabletop, up onto the knees, and just bring the knees that little bit more narrow so they're underneath your hips. With a deep breath in, let your ribs dip down to the mat. Lift your chest looking forwards into your cow pose. And as you exhale, round the spine, chin to the chest, and think of strong and straight arms. So really oppose the mat here. Inhale, drop down back through the ribs, lift through the chest. Think of the shoulder blades pinching together. And as you exhale, broaden that space between the shoulder blades, hollow out the front of the body and press into those arms. Great, keep moving. Breathing in, push the sit bones to the sky, nice C shape with the spine. Breathing out to dome the body, pressing the spine out between the shoulder blades. Great, again to breathe in. And then as you breathe out, back into cat. And cat pose is the position of the shoulder blades for lots of our arm balances. So keep moving between your two, breathing in, stretching the front of the body. Breathing out and just taking a mental note of what your shoulders, your upper body is doing here. Draw yourself back to a nice flat spine and keep your gaze down towards the mat. So the spine's going to stay neutral. The elbows are going to stay straight. We're going to do a couple of scapular push-ups. Those that have done them before know what we mean. Tend to have to think about your elbows more than your shoulder blades because you'll want to do a push-up and you'll want to start bending your elbows. But elbows stay straight. Drop your chest down towards the mat. So feel your shoulder blades shrug together and then press out. Broaden those shoulder blades and think of pushing the spine out between them. So again, as you drop down, they squeeze together, noticing the elbows don't change the whole time. And as you do a couple of reps here, this might be challenging and you might be able to feel that sort of heat and burn in the upper body. And if it's not, step your knees further back, come into a supported plank and do them here instead. If you're already some sort of strength ninja, do them in full plank, tuck your toes under and do them there instead. As you're moving through them, and feel that strength already, keep your tailbone lightly tucked under so that your core is engaged. Up and down, focusing on that movement in the shoulder blades. And then I'm sure your shoulders can feel it. Bring yourself back towards tabletop. If you want, just for a moment, sit yourself back onto your heels. Take your hands behind your back and just stretch that one out. So shoulder blades come together, chest broadens. And then as you exhale, give yourself a hug. Stretching across that upper back. A nice way just to reset. Hands come back onto the mat in front of you. This time sending your left leg out towards the back of the mat. The right arm reaches forwards, arm alongside the ear. And again, we're looking for that straight and long spine. Grow tall through fingers and toes as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, see if your knee and elbow can tap underneath the body. Maybe your knee and nose if you want to make it more challenging. Inhale, reach them back out. Exhale, drawing them under. Good. Inhale, grow long, keep the gaze at the mat. Exhale to tap under. Great. Last reach out. Inhale, grow long through fingertips and toes. And then from here, place the hand down. The foot that's extended, place that at the back of the mat. Then this right leg, you're going to reach to the back of the room as you come into a three-pointed plank. So a three-pointed plank is a little bit too much for you this morning. Make it a full plank, put both feet down. Hold for one more breath. This is hard, guys. Push. And then exhale, drop it back down as you come to subject yourself to the same thing on the other side. Right leg, reach it out behind you. Left arm, reach it forwards. Inhale, belly hugs up towards the spine. Exhale, knee and nose or knee and elbow underneath the body. Inhale, extend. Exhale, rounded spine, crunch the front of the body. Breathing in, grow long again. And last time as you exhale, draw the limbs underneath. Great. Inhale, send the limbs all the way back out, nice and strong through that back leg. And then place the hand down, place those back toes down. The left leg is then going to extend out backwards. Squeeze those left glutes. Belly hugs up to spine, three-pointed plank. Keep pressing down into the hands, breathing in. And then breathing out. Drop the knees down. Sit yourself onto your heels just for a moment. Take a deep breath in. And then rise your way into down dog as you breathe out. Feet hip distance apart. Pelvis to the sky. Open out through those shoulders, those armpits. Think of the thighs pressing to the back of the mat. And if you'd like to give your hamstrings and your calves a little awaken, then give those legs a little walk out, walking the dog. And feel that stretch all the way from the ankle up to the hamstring. Head is nice and loose and floppy, trying to maintain softness across the back of the shoulders and the neck, somewhere that can get quite tense very easily when we're doing upper body strength work. And then holding your down dog stationary, take one last deep breath in. And as you breathe out, walk your feet to the top of the mat, coming to meet your hands, keeping your hands down as long as you can. Think of compressing belly towards thighs and into a ragdoll fold when you get there. So the knees stay softly bent, the arms to dangle or to cross, and there's the option to sway if you like. Keep that softness in the back of the neck, softness across the face. Just give yourself a moment to find some length, some stretch here, feeling that softness and relax of the upper body muscles for a moment. Great, and then release your arms and let them come to your shins, just below your kneecaps. Inhale to halfway rise, so find a tabletop shape through your spine, flat back, come higher if you need to get that. Thighs press back, kneecaps pull up towards the hips. Exhale, refold. You can soften the knees, let the hands touch the floor and your head to dangle freely. Inhale again, halfway lift, shoulders draw down the back, neck is long, quads are engaged. Exhale to forward fold. I'm sure you can feel it's your hamstrings that are meant to be getting this. Last one, inhale, halfway lift. And then this time as you exhale, hands go down and step yourself down onto your knees, a little bit similar to where we started. So I want you to come down into something that's like a child's pose, but not quite. Keep your knees hip distance apart. Keep your feet hip distance apart as well. And then reach those arms away from you. And I want you to keep looking forwards towards your hands and now really crawl them forwards. You'll notice why in a minute because it's all about body proportions. So with a really long side body, your arms are as far forwards as you can reach them. We're going to do some, I call them child's pose chaturangas. So here's our child's pose. We're going to think of a cat back, so a rounded spine, as we rise up towards an elongated tabletop. I'm keeping that rounded spine, the hollowed body, the tailbone tucked. I'm going in front of my fingertips, going halfway to the floor, elbows pulling in towards the ribs, and then going to push all the way back up. Sit my bum to my heels, but make sure my arms stay extended. So we're going to move through that shape. Breathing in, roll the body up, tailbone tucked, hollow belly. Go beyond your wrists, halfway down to the floor, elbows squeeze inwards, and then press your way back to the top. As you sink yourself back towards your heels, you can take a longer pause if you need to, or keep going. Breathing in, rounded spine, leaning forwards, hold your core in firm as you bend those elbows. And then press your way to the top and sit your bum back down. Keep going, guys. I'm going to try two more. Breathing in to come forwards. Tailbone is tucked halfway to the mat. See if you can take a little pause or just keep moving. Press step, back up, and all the way back to the heels. Last one. Breathing in. Use the exhale to descend, shoulders in front of the elbows. And then breathing out, all the way back. Sitting to those heels. If you want to give your shoulders a little bit more of a soft shape to rest in here, take your arms alongside your body. Let your forehead rest down. And just try to elongate your breath a little bit. Deep breath in. And a slow breath out. Great. Rise your way back up onto the shins. Hands onto the mat in front of you. Tuck the toes. We're coming back into down dog. Lengthen out the back of the legs. Lengthen out the spine. And let those legs, if they want to, have another little pedal. Depends how your legs are feeling this morning. If they're feeling tight, it feels really nice to get that movement into them. Or maybe you prefer the feeling of a stationary push backwards. So from here, with your right leg as you inhale, sending it to the sky for a three-legged dog. Keep reaching through those toes, keep pressing through the hands. On the exhale, draw the knee under the body. See if you can tap your right tricep with your knee, or at least try to, before stepping the foot wider than your right hand, so nice and wide side of the mat. Inhale, right arm turns to the sky, chest turns with it, press away through your back heel. Roll the chest open towards the ceiling. Keep lunging the hips forward and down. Let us stretch into those legs. On the exhale, place your right hand down quite near your right foot. It's a much harder way to twist this time. Keep the pelvis facing the floor, and as you inhale, the left arm goes to the sky. Move slowly, maybe the gaze can go with it. Keep your front knee moving towards the right, back heel presses away. Breathing in. And then breathing out, bring the left hand back down onto the mat. Drop the back heel down, moving into a side plank, so your toes start to point towards the right. See if you can pick this front foot up, step it to the back of the mat, and then send the right arm to the sky. Hold your belly in, push your pelvis to the sky, and squeeze your thighs together. Holding that side plank, inhale. And then exhale, hand comes down, roll yourself via plank, and then hips to the sky as you come back to down dog. Inhale, holding. Exhale, softening. One more, breathing in. And breathing out. Great, guys. Second side, left leg. Inhale to the sky. Reach through those toes, keep the leg as straight as you possibly can. On the exhale, maybe the knee can tap the tricep as it comes forwards, or just try to get as close to it as you can. And then left foot steps nice and wide to the left side of the mat. Right hand stays down. Inhale, left arm to the sky. Easier to twist in this direction, so focus on the sink of the hips. Pull the front knee in towards the body and press away through that back heel. Take one more breath in. And then breathing out, left hand comes down. Try to keep the pelvis nice and low, the hips facing the floor. It's just the chest this time that turns to face that top hand. Keep that right hip rolling down towards the floor. Front knee is pushing wide, and that back leg is trying to stay straight. Inhale as you hold. And then exhale, bring the right hand back down to the mat. We're going to come into that side plank again. Back foot's going to roll towards the little toe edge. See if you can lift that front foot, step it back as the left arm goes to the sky. Really push down through this right arm. Think of opposing the floor as you rise away. Tailbone stays tucked, belly stays pulling in. Inhale as you hold. And then exhale. Hand comes down, feet reset, hips to the sky. And into downward facing dog. Really working into that strength, breathing in and breathing out. Sending your gaze forwards to the top of the mat. And as before, walking those feet in. Coming to bring them nice and close to your wrists. Thinking of that compression, so using your core strength to help your body get in towards this ragdoll shape. And this time, if you like, instead of a floppy fold, you can hold on to your own ankles or legs and give yourself a bit of an assisted fold by giving them a little pull, or if you prefer, just allow yourself to stay floppy. Use the inhales of the crown of the head to grow down towards the floor. And exhale to keep folding. Great. Release hold of your ankles if you're holding them. Hands to your waist, chin to your chest, the knees to stay bent as you unravel and unroll to bring yourself all the way up to stand towards the top line of your mat. Maybe just readjusting. So we're going to move through a modification of just a different variation of something that feels like a sun salute A, depending on the strength that you already have, because obviously everyone's very different of where they're coming from to this class. There'll be options to make things harder if what I'm doing is already a breeze for you, in which case you're probably doing very, very well. So inhale, send the arms to the sky, gaze up towards them. As you exhale, forward fold, your hands come to the floor, you press your hips to the sky, stretch those hamstrings. Inhale, halfway lift, nice and long through the spine, belly stays firm. As you exhale, hands come to the floor, feet to step back and into plank. Now I want you to hold plank while I just explain the next bit. So much like when we did the child's pose chaturangas with that lean forwards and that halfway lower to the floor, we're going to find the same shape, but option to not put the knees down, so we'll do it from plank. So inhale, keep holding here. Exhale, shift your weight forwards beyond your fingertips. Bend the elbows. This time we're going to come all the way down to the floor, but I want you to come as slowly as you can. If it was a little bit of a body flop, then consider yourself putting your knees down next time to try and slow that movement down. From here, inhale, lift your chest to look forwards. Send your arms behind you, reach them to the back of the mat and let the palms turn upwards. So thumbs are next to your thighs, palms face the sky. Keep the shoulder blades squeezing together, the hips pressing down, chest lifts forwards, breathe in. And then allow your palms to flip. So thumbs then turn outwards, thumbs turn inwards. Again for 2, thumbs inwards, 3, go again for 4, and last time flip them for 5. Holding here, take a deep breath in, and then hands to come back underneath your chest. Roll yourself via your knees, hips to the sky, and into downward facing dog. 2 breaths here, lengthen out those shoulders, press the sit bones to the sky. Breathing out, soften across the face. Last one, inhale. And exhale. Great, gaze goes forwards to the top of the mat. Option to walk if you would like, or this time you might want to take a little bunny hop, bringing your feet to the top of the mat. Inhale to halfway lift, lengthen out through the spine. This time interlace your hands behind you, palms close together, and as you exhale, soften those knees, fold over the legs as your fist pulls away from your body. Just stretching out those shoulders and upper body muscles a little bit from all the hard work they're doing. Keep lifting your hips towards the sky, inhale. And then exhale, release your hands, let them come to your waist. Knees are bent, chin to the chest, and roll your way all the way up to stand. I don't know about you guys, but I am working up a sweat. We're going to move through that same sequence. Breathing in, lift the arms tall, gazing up. Breathing out, forward fold, hands find the floor, dangle the head nice and loose. Inhale, long body, shoulders away from the ears. Exhale, hands down, feet step back into plank. We'll pause just for a moment. Think of the heels reaching back, the tailbone is tucked under and it's going to stay tucked under to help our descent. Inhale as you hold. Exhale, shift forwards towards the fingertips. Elbows come next to your rib cage. Go as slowly as you can, all the way to the floor. With your inhale, lift your chest, look forwards. Reach your hands to the back of the mat, palms face the sky, breathing in. And then turn the hands to face the floor, to the sky, to the floor. Feel that rotation in the shoulders. Feel that upper back have to work to hold your body weight up here. Take one more little flip. And then hands come underneath your chest. Roll via your knees, hips into the sky, and find your down dog. Soften out the neck, let the head hang nice and loosely. Breathing in and breathing out. Great, inhale, gaze goes forwards. There's the option to walk, or if you're jumping, land as lightly as you can at the top of the mat. Inhale, lengthen the chest forwards, nice and long through the spine. And as you exhale, fold over the legs. Option to give yourself a little pull against them if you would like to. Inhale back to your halfway lift. And then interlace those hands behind you. Fold over the legs. Softly bent knees is nicer here to allow you to get that length in the lower back, into the shoulders, and let your head hang freely. Take a deep breath in. And then breathing out, hands to your waist, soft knees, chin to chest, and roll your way all the way back up to stand, back towards the top of the mat. Moving on, going a little bit more stretchy from here. Breathing in, arms lift tall. Breathing out, forward fold, hands to the mat. Inhale, find that length to pull the chest forwards. And then exhale, hands go down, right foot's going to step back to the very back of the mat. Keep the front knee on top of the front ankle, and as you inhale, rise up to stand. Arms to go above your head once you've got your balance. Palms to come to meet if they will, and really let your hips sink forwards and down. The back heel presses away from you, inhale. And then exhale, slowly, slowly, slowly let your back knee come to rest onto the mat. Stay into the lunge, keep those arms above your head. Lift your chin away from your chest and into your low lunge. Squeeze through those right glutes, keep opening through that right side of the body. Great, inhale. And then exhale. Hands come down to the mat. Step the foot back into your down dog. Hips go high to the sky. So from here, I suppose I told a little lie. There is some more strengthening to come here. We're going to come from our down dog. Keep our gaze back towards our feet. Just make sure your hands are not too wide. They should be about shoulder width apart. Keep your gaze back towards your toes. We're going to lower the elbows slowly down towards the mat. At no point do you want to sort of give up and dump your body weight down towards the mat. See if you can just press the elbows and then lift back to your down dog. A little down dog to dolphin press up. Now inhale into down dog. Exhale, bend the elbows. See if you can tap them onto the mat and then press your way back into down dog. Last one, keep the elbows thinking of hugging in so they don't splay too wide. Let them rest and then press up to your down dog. Shoulders are working hard. Take a deep breath in. And then inhale, right leg to the sky. On the exhale, step it forwards, just outside the right hand, toes point outwards, just off the side of the mat. And then back foot is going to step in to mirror that front foot as you sink yourself down into Malasana, little yogi squat. Chest pulls nice and tall. Elbows to rest on the inner thighs to drive the knees wide and to keep your chest pulling upwards. The weight is towards the little toe edges of your feet and your chest is trying to stack on top of your hips. So we've done a fair bit of strengthening, a fair bit of movement, and perhaps your body temperature is feeling that. So time to move into a first little arm balance, and suitably we're going to move towards crow. So I want you to take your hands onto the mat in front of you, lift your hips to the sky and just turn your toes to now point forward, so as if you're stood on train tracks. If you need a little bit of space, you can step yourself back. So from here, find a little stretch in your hamstrings first. So hips nice and high, fingertips resting or reaching towards the floor. Press those thighs backwards. So we're going to use that bend of the elbow, that shift forwards like we did in the child pose Chaturanga, like we did in the slow lower to the floor. Take your hands to the mat, shoulder distance apart. Let the knees come to rest onto the back of the triceps, and we're using the part of the knee on the inside the kneecap. Don't use your kneecap because it wobbles and moves. Press that knee into the tricep. Now do that lean forwards as if you're doing that halfway lower to the floor, and see if you can find lightness in your toes. If you're new to this, then you can always use your block to stand your feet onto. If you're not new to this, go for an endurance hold. See how long you can hold it. Maybe see if you can get your knees a little higher up towards your armpits. If you're still working on finding your balance, option to stick a pillow out in front of your face to help you feel less scared, and then you can step your feet onto a block, which has already helped your hips come higher, so your feet might find height a little easier. From your crow, let yourself come back down to the floor. Lift through your chest, come back into your yogi squat. Breathing in. And then as you breathe out, lift yourself up to stand. And if you need to bring yourself back to the top of the mat, then do. Now, I should have said these arm balances, we're not going to spend too long in each one, just because we've got different ones to work through. They're something that if you have time afterwards, you can come back to and try to work on. So don't be frustrated if you think that we're moving on really fast. I'm purposely not giving us too long to work on them. Inhale, reach the arms to the sky, gazing up. Breathing out, forward fold, hands to the mat, dangle your head over your legs. Inhale, halfway lift, the chest pulls forwards. Exhale, hands to the floor, left foot this time, steps to the back of the mat. Keep the front knee on top of the front ankle, hips drive forwards and down, and then lift your torso. Stretch through the front of that left hip, squeeze through the glutes, and get that back leg as straight as you can. Keep sinking the pelvis, lifting through the upper body. Breathe in as you hold. And then slowly as you breathe out, dropping that back knee, really, really slow, all the way down to the mat. Stay into the low lunge when you get there. Really find that stretch, that length into that left side. Pull your rib cage up and away from your pelvis. Inhale. And then exhale. Hands down to the mat. Footsteps back into down dog, and we're going to do 3 more of our little dolphin drops. So hands stay shoulder width apart. Gaze back towards the toes. Remember, at no point do you want to drop and dump. Try to maintain the control the entire time. Slowly let the elbows drop, and then press your way back to down dog. That's 1. Going for 2. Keep the gaze back towards the toes. Press your way back up. 2. Last one, guys, keep pressing into the hands. Think of pushing the mat away from you. And that's 3. Left leg. Inhale to the sky. 3-legged dog. Exhale, step it forwards, just wider than your left hand. Toes are going to point outwards. Right foot steps forwards, comes into a yogi squat, just as before, into your malasana. Take a moment here for you to breathe. So this time we're not going to move into crow, we're going to move into shoulder pressure pose instead. Take a moment to open your hips here. It really, really helps. Pulling the chest tall, use those elbows to drive the knees wide. Pelvis is trying to tuck underneath. From there, fingertips onto the mat in front of you again. Lift those hips to the sky and turn your toes back to face forward. So you're in a semi-wide leg forward fold. We'll take a little bit of extra moment here because again, it helps. Take hold of your ankles, think of pushing your hips to the sky and give yourself a little extra pull against your legs. Really getting into the back of the hamstrings, thinking of folding the body between the thighs. So this is one arm balance where having blocks will make it a lot more accessible for you. I'll show it onto blocks, but if you don't have them or don't need them, then you don't have to use them. The blocks or our hands are going to go in place behind our heels. So we can drop the knee, we can bend the knees a little bit to drop the hips so that our fingertips can find the floor or find our blocks. We're then going to think of sitting our bum down towards our wrists. And as we do that, the heels of the hands can find the floor. Now look forward, lift your chest, press down into your hands and see if your feet can leave the floor. Now maybe you'll see why the blocks made that more accessible, because it gave me essentially longer arms, and it's the bit of lifting the feet that tends to be challenging because we need to be able to open our hips to bury the arms. So if I just show you for a moment without the blocks, lift those hips, really compress your body and thigh together. Think of burying your arms as best you can under the arms, under the legs. Put your legs on like backpacks. Hands behind the heels, sit down towards your wrists, lift your chest, press the thighs into the triceps, and maybe those feet leave the floor. If you found balance here, great, lift your chest. If you haven't yet, give it one more go. Breathe in. And then see if you can gently place your bum down onto the mat, or fall down, one or the other, as you come to seated. From seated, we're working a little bit more into our core strength. Let yourself sit evenly onto your sit bones, your toes to tiptoe back towards you until you find that balance point for the shins to float. The arms reach alongside the legs and keep your gaze forward, so you're sort of gazing beyond your toes. Now, making our boat doubly hard into what is called half boat. I think it should be called double boat, to be honest. Now I want you to think of your lower back. So this is where we're going to be going. Here is our boat, here is our half boat. The shoulders stay off the floor and the legs stay floating, and then we come back to boat. The way that I find this most effective is to just concentrate on your lower back. You're going from your lower back not being on the mat to lower back onto the mat. Everything else kind of does what you need it to do as you go between the two. So toes go forwards, arms stay the same, stick your lower back down on the floor. Bring your way back up. Depending on how challenging it is, the lower your feet go to the floor, the more challenging, the higher you keep them, the less challenging. So you can choose where feels suitable for you. Take yourself a couple more. I know they're super hard, guys, but think of how good they are for you. It's always in balance. If it's really hard, it means it's really good for you. And then draw yourself back up. Let your feet come down to the floor. And gosh, let's let ourselves have a moment of breathing. Legs are going to extend out onto the mat. Knees and toes point towards the sky. Think of lengthening through your lower back. Inhale, lift your arms to the sky. And then as you exhale, fold forwards. Your hands can find your toes if that is within reach, or you can hold onto your calves, or just leave your hands on the floor if you prefer. Think of lengthening your chest forwards as you breathe in. So don't be too concerned with how close to your legs you're getting. Just allow yourself to find that stretch. Back of the thighs press down towards the mat, and the heels push away from you. Great, breathing in and breathing out. And then draw yourself upright. I'll just slow the pace a little. Let your left knee bend, and the sole of the foot to come to find the inner of the right thigh. Again, coming for a right hamstring stretch here, toes towards the sky. Breathing in, pull the arms upwards, lengthen the body. Breathing out as you fold forwards. Again, just as before, it's not about how close to your leg you can fold when it comes to the flexibility here. It's about maintaining length and flatness of spine whilst you think of a forwards of the body weight. So think of the back of the thigh pressing down, and if you're trying to deepen, you're thinking of the belly compressing closer to the thigh rather than the head getting closer to the leg. Chest stays nice and broad. Breathing in and breathing out. Now, for lots of these arm balances and this core work, your hip flexors form a very strong part of your core. So let's give them another stretch out. Your left hand to go onto the floor behind you. Take a deep breath in and push your hips to the sky. Stay onto that left knee. The right toes reach down towards the mat. And think of pushing your hips up and out so you're stretching that front line of the pelvis. Take a deep breath in as you feel that right side of the body lengthen. And then as you breathe out, sit your bum back down to the mat. So this left leg that's bent, I want it to stay bent, but this time the sole of the foot to come to the floor. But give yourself a little gap so it's not right up against your thigh. Move it a little bit more towards the left. The left arm, let's say the right first. The right is just going to place behind us, and that's going to be a kickstand to help us fold here. It might not feel like a fold in a lot of people's body. I know when I tried this, I didn't go anywhere at first. Left arm, inhale, reach it towards the sky. And as you exhale, reach that left arm forwards, as if you're reaching beyond your front foot. Your right hand is pushing behind you to help your body move forwards. Now you're welcome to stay here, and often you can get more of a stretch by staying here, or you can take a bind by this left arm wrapping in front of the shin and the right hand behind you, finding your fingertips. But what we want to really focus on is this left knee in the sky, thinking of it staying high as it moves beyond the shoulder as the chest folds forwards. Like I say, for years when I did this pose, I felt like I was doing nothing. I just felt stuck, but I promise it's useful. Breathe in, hold here, and then breathe out to release. So moving into our next little go at an arm balance. We're strong, we're stretched, we're suitable for it. So give yourself an optimistic little pep talk. Another one where Actually, that's a lie. Your blocks won't help you here. It'll be too hard to lift your bum. So elephant trunk pose. You're going to take this left leg that's already bent and think of sending it behind you. Knee goes behind your shoulder and put the leg on just like we did for the shoulder pressure pose. You want to put it on like a backpack. Get it as far up towards your shoulder as you can. Now, importantly here, now clamp hold. So pull that leg down, really use the strength of the leg to not let it slide away down towards your elbow. Hands are then going to come onto the mat in front of your pelvis, so towards your sort of kneecap. You've got to go forwards. The chest is going to lean forwards as the hips think of going towards the back of the mat. Press down into the arms to straighten and see if you can lift your whole body from the floor. If you leave that right heel down, that's a great place to start. Lifting your pelvis is heavy, it's hard. Think of sucking that leg back into the pelvis to see if you can find lift there. If and when you do, you can sit your bum back down, and we'll be working on the other side in a moment. I want you to take this left leg now and cross it over to the other side. Sole of the foot faces to the floor. Now you can either stay here, we're about to move into a twist, or you can curl the extended leg round, tuck it towards your bum, but make sure your left sit bone can come down to the floor. Left hand goes behind you, breathe in, right arm to the sky. And as you breathe out, elbow hooks around the thigh as you twist and look over your left shoulder. Keep the chest pulling upwards to lengthen out the torso, breathing in. And keep turning through the body, breathing out, looking over your left shoulder. Apologies if anyone can hear a high-pitched whine. It's not your technology, it's Benny. He's wet, so he's not allowed on his usual sofa point. So from your twist, come back round to face centre. Now, if you did the twist with your extended leg, I now want you to bend that leg under, but lean your body weight towards the right side of the mat and then bend it. We don't need that left sit bone down here. We're coming towards another arm balance. Now, if you were in my class last week, we did EPK2. This is exactly the same arm balance, but approached in a different way, and I tend to think it's a bit of an easier way. So this time we're twisting towards the right, and notice as you twist to the right, this inner thigh that's on the top is nicely aligned with your left tricep. Hello, wet dog. So that is going to be your balance point of the leg being supported by the arm. Great timing, Benny. So you're going to place your hands like you would plank. First, I want you to lift your hips. Lift the heavy part of your body off of the mat. Now, just like crow and just like those halfway lowers to the floor, you're going to go forwards beyond your fingertips, bend the elbows and see if those legs can find a little bit of lift. I'm going to show you one more time, but from the side, because I realise that that angle is maybe not the most helpful. So from this twisted shape that we had, we've turned to the right side. The inner left thigh is going to rest onto the back of the tricep. I'll lift my pelvis first, so my right shin is still down. I'm then going to lean forwards as I bend the elbows, so my chest comes towards the floor and my legs might leave the floor. If they do, you can try extending them to straight legs, but keeping the knees bent makes your center point, or your balance point, should I say, much smaller, gives you a sort of more of a fighting chance. So there's your EPK2, that's the second way to try and enter it. From there, from your attempts, spin yourself back round to center and untangle the legs. 2 straight legs just as before, knees and toes point to the sky. Breathing in, pull the body upwards. Breathing out, forward fold. Looks like Benny got his own way and he's now on the sofa. Lengthen through each and every vertebra, pull forwards. Exhale to fold, compressing belly towards thighs. Great, sitting yourself nice and tall again. This time it's the right leg to bend, sole of the foot to the inner thigh. Let that right knee flop and fall away from you. Inhale, find that length again. Exhale to fold forwards, maybe finding your foot, holding a different part of your body if you wish, or just letting your hands rest to the floor. Belly hugs in towards the spine, so you're using core strength to think of compressing the belly towards the leg to help you stretch through the back of that left thigh into that hamstring. Take a deep breath in. And then release and sit tall as you breathe out. Stretching through those hip flexors, right hand onto the floor behind you. Lift your hips away from the mat. Left arm can go up or up and over if you like, and open that left side of the body. Push your hips up, but as well sort of push them towards the right side to really lengthen that front part of the pelvis. As you exhale, sit your bum back to the mat. Let yourself face forwards, and then this right knee is going to move to face the sky. As before, keep a gap between your leg and your foot so they're not too squished together, and bring your foot relatively close back towards your bum, but not so far that you kind of can't sit upright anymore. It's a balance of finding sort of your, what's the word I'm looking for? So that sweet spot. Left hand behind you. It's going to be your sort of help for the hinge forwards. Inhale, right arm to the sky. As you exhale, reach that right arm forwards. Option to stay here if this feels where you can get that most pull and push, or you can wrap the right arm around the front of the shin and that left hand to come to find it. If you take the bind, think of the tricep against the shin, push the arm into the shin to help send the left shoulder forwards more. So as much, like I say, as much as it might not feel it in many people's bodies, this is a forward fold. You're trying to fold forwards, but don't be worrying if it doesn't feel much like that in your body today. Breathing in. And then breathing out, releasing, letting go, and let's give a go at our elephant trunk pose. So right leg, you're going to put it on like a backpack. Send that knee behind your shoulder as much as you can, and then hoik the leg right up to the top of the upper arm. Clamp the leg down nice and strong. Use the strength in your leg to hold that clamp there. Hands place sort of mid-thigh, definitely in front of your pelvis. The pelvis thinks of going backwards as the arms straighten and the chest looks forwards. Suck the left leg in towards your body and see if you can find lift. Option to leave that left heel down and work on lifting your pelvis. Hold it as you breathe in. And then sitting your bum back down if you are still up as you breathe out. This right leg, you're now going to cross over the top of the left, ground the sole of the foot. Option to take your twist here, or you can spin that top leg, extended leg, underneath. Just make sure your right sit bone comes back to the floor. Right hand goes behind you. Inhale, left arm to the sky. And as you exhale, hook the elbow around the thigh, looking over that right shoulder. Keep your torso nice and tall. And use those exhales to keep drawing the belly in to make space for the turn, the twist. Great, last one, breathing in. And then breathing out, come back to center. So I'm just going to turn because otherwise I've got my back to you. But you're going to keep yourself in this little twisted shape. I'll come to the side. If you had the extended leg, hook it underneath. But remember, we don't need to sit our right sit bone down anymore. We turn towards the left. We're identifying that the inner right thigh is the bit that's going to rest onto the back of the right tricep. Hands go like they would for a plank, grip the floor. Find those 2 points and try to keep them connected as you lift your hips. Get the heavy bit off the floor first. Chest then goes forwards as you bend the elbows. Keep the knees bent to begin with so that the scales are smaller. If you think about it, if your legs are extended, there's a lot more weight over here, which makes it harder to get them to lift up with the lean forwards. So keeping your body bent legs, keeping your body smaller gives you that sort of fighting chance if you're new to this. Obviously, if you've got that, extend the legs and make things harder. So I'll show you one more time. Right tricep, right inner thigh. First, lift that pelvis. Look forwards, go forwards. See how close to the floor my chest gets. Very, very close to the floor. Knees are bent, heels hug in. You can then fall or flop your way back down onto the floor. Untangle your legs and let your feet come onto the mat. Knees to be bent, arms reach forwards. And then slowly allow yourself to unravel, to come all the way down onto your back, which after that class feels glorious. And then hug your knees in towards your chest. Give yourself a little squeeze, maybe a little sway from left to right. You can close your eyes and just allow things to start to feel like they're moving a little slower. And then release your feet back onto the mat, stepping them away from you one at a time. Let the legs go loose and floppy. Let the arms relax alongside you. Taking our short little Shavasana here, just giving the body a moment to relax, to ease out of that hard work, to let the heart rate slow, to let the breath become more shallow, just to have a moment of complete rest. Great, a deep breath in as you reach your arms overhead. And then give your knees a hug in towards your chest as you breathe out for a soft little hug. Your knees, then rolling your way up to seated, sitting yourself nice and tall. And then your final breath in to circle your arms to the sky. And your final breath out, hands down to the belly as the chin comes down to the chest. Well done, guys. I hope you enjoyed that one. That was quite a sweaty start to the day if you're doing this live, or I'm sure it's sweaty whenever you're doing it. As I sort of said in the description, it's not the sort of thing that you need to be able to nail and achieve for it to be useful to work on. So if you didn't have success in any of those, don't be disheartened by it. To be it that you've done loads of practice and strength building to help you actually find that lift one day. And if you did find success in it, great, I'm sure that feels amazing. I'd love to hear from you if you had any struggles or successes and how you got on. Thanks for joining. As always, anyone that didn't hear, I just do my 2 lives a week now. So it's this morning, there's another one Monday evenings. So I hope you can join me again for another online class. Thank you for the donations, for those that are supporting me. If you feel able to donate to the class, if you found value from it, I would very much appreciate that. The link is in the description below. Have a lovely day, and I will see you again soon.